I actually think being the new person or the newbie is a blessing. The reason being is you don't have all of the expectations of what it's supposed to be like. You come at this with a completely brand new mind. And if anything, I can remember like, as an SDR, my first job was to speak to CFOs. And what I found really cool was, well, actually, what my boss and my A's have said is like, you don't talk like or sound like a salesperson, right? You sound like a young Neil who's just very interested and very passionate. And what I used to find with, like, when I booked my meetings with the CFOs, that I would hand them over to the AE. Before I handed them, I had like a really cool conversation. So here's the other things like we can teach like our audience and listeners. So I used to say to these CFOs, I'll be totally honest with you, I'm not a financial expert. I know how our platform works, right? But can I ask a quick question? They'd be like, yeah, go for it. I said, how did you become a CFO? And asking that question to a senior person or anyone in general makes them feel special.
Yeah.
And what they're very happy, like we all love to talk about ourselves, right? This is why I have a podcast. This is why I love people talking about themselves because this is what we do. But what they would do is just, well, I started off in finance. I was doing payroll. I went to university. I was doing this. Then I went to go study AAT accounting, get a qualification, and then just all this stuff. And that's how most of my discovery calls used to start. Like, I've checked your LinkedIn. Like, what's your story to becoming a CFO? And what it done was built this really nice rapport between me and the prospect. Because probably for the first time, somebody has asked them that question
Yeah.
in a sales call, so it didn't feel like a sales call. And then typically what happened is I then handed them over to the AE. The AE had a sales conversation, but then sometimes I'd have the CFO message me. I said, Neil, we met with your AEs. They're all great, but can we just work directly with you? And I'd be like, but I'm only the SDR. I can't. Sorry, they're the ones that are managing the sales cycle. And I've had a lot of SDRs where I've coached them and trained them to get into this mindset of being the student in the room and asking your prospects all these sort of questions, right? So I think to become the industry expert, as you mentioned, is this networking, understanding people's experiences, their stories. And as I said to this guy this week, I said to him, like when you're talking to these people, remember they are the expert, we're not. They are the expert because they've got the qualification. They've had the 20 years working in that industry. That's why they're the expert. What we are the expert in is what we sell or the solution that we're providing. So try to change the mindset. But also I said to him, these people that you're talking to go home, they have family with their dinner, they eat, shit, sleep, throw up, have a life, go out on the weekends, maybe have a bit of drinking, whatever. They're just people. Just because I have a job title. They said, yeah, you're right. And I said, what would I say to you if you was to speak to a founder right now? And he said, I don't know, that'd be really scary. I said, but you're talking to one. I'm one, but I'm not scary. I'm not like all corporate and stuff. And he was like, yeah, you're right.